Welcome, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Daniel Sports Ledger, sports betting tips and picks for sports bettors. Today, we are going to go over NFL future team totals for this season. Super excited. By the way, I got these little nifty, these little bullets. They freeze your there's like a replacement for ice. Um, They're actually pretty good. They work actually pretty good. I keep my glass in the freezer with the bullets, so the glasses are already cold, so it keeps everything actually works a lot better than I thought. I was skeptical, but yeah, they're pretty cool actually. You should check them out. Um However, so today we're going to talk about the team totals, and we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. Today last week I used BetMGM to talk about the NFL futures, but um FanDuel is just a little easier to navigate through these and find them quicker. So we're gonna go ahead and use FanDuel today. And the way they're doing this now, it's not like will this team be over and under 8.5 wins. The way they're doing it now is you can basically pick over under any amount of wins, under 4.5, under 3.5, whatever, all the way up to over 15.5 or whatever. So um So the way I'm doing this, instead of finding, um, I'm just trying to find whatever Vegas has the closest to basically even money. So for the Cardinals, it's 8.5 wins. Over 8.5 is minus 125. Under 8.5 is plus 105. So that's that's basically the line is what Vegas is saying is over under 8.5 wins. Um, so for the Cardinals, over under 8.5 wins. This is a tough one for me. I honestly probably wouldn't bet the Cardinals. I am doing 1080p today, so may have a little bit of connection issues, but hopefully not. But over under 8.5 wins. If Kyler Murray can stay healthy for every single game this year, then I like the over. Which is minus 125. The problem is he's always misses a couple of games, it seems like. Um, and it's I think they're gonna be in a lot of close games this year. I think I like a slight under for the Cardinals, maybe exactly 8 wins this year. That division has kind of gone down a little bit. They're not as high up. They're not as good as they were a few years back. So that does help the Cardinals a little bit, but it's just kind of weird. Honestly, I probably wouldn't put a bet there on the Cardinals. The next one is going to be the Falcons. So for the Falcons here, it's looking like they have a couple of options here how you want to do it. Um, Over under 7.5, over under 8.5. Let's take over under 8.5 wins. Over would be plus 115. Under would be minus 140. Um, it's a tough one for the Falcons as well. Kind of the same things with the Cardinals. I would probably take an under with the Falcons under 8.5 wins this year. I do like my boy Penix Jr. He has had injury issues. Is he going to be there the whole year? Um, they do have a couple of bottom feeders there, right? The Saints have one of the better rosters in the division, but they have no quarterback this year. And then you have the worst team in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers. So that helps a little bit as well. Um, so with that, you know, for me, the Falcons is another one to stay away from, unless they're your favorite team. You really know everything about them. Um, I don't know that the Falcons have a lot of depth this year. I'd stay away, but I'd probably have to lean towards the under with the Falcons, even with those bottom feeders down there at the bottom. The next one here is gonna we're gonna and I know it should be going by division, but I'm going through FanDuel and just trying to go through these one on one. And they're going alphabetical order, so we're just gonna be bouncing around everywhere. The next one is gonna be the Baltimore Ravens. For the Ravens, it looks like their over under is 11.5 wins. Over 11.5 is minus 125. Under is plus 105. And for this one, I like the Ravens at about 11 wins this year. So I guess that would be the under 11.5 at plus 105. You know, it's tough. I think the division's gotten better, and I don't know that they've improved as much as some of the other teams in their division, or even other teams in the AFC or other teams they're going to be playing. So I'd like them at 11, 10 or 11 wins. I would probably take a slight under there for under 11.5 wins for the Ravens. Another one, you might want to stay away from. It's not necessarily worth betting these teams that are just right there on the edge, on the cusp there. Let me just check this thing out real quick. Sorry, guys. Here we go. I do have some comments here. Yo, yo, yo. Okay, Austin. Me patiently waiting to hear the Steelers. Well, Austin, unfortunately, they are an S team. You know what? I can go to the Steelers now for you, buddy. Um, and just stay with me longer than that, okay? Give me the viewage time, please. But let's see. Pittsburgh Steelers, they are towards the bottom here. I gotta remember where I'm at here. So we're gonna be doing the Bills next. But I'll go ahead and skip to the Steelers real quick. All right, so the Steelers here, we let's see, where are they at here? Okay, so their over under is definitely 8.5 wins because they have minus 110 over or under 8.5 wins. Uh, I like to, you know, like I said in the last podcast, to me, Aaron Rodgers has always been a mid quarterback, meaning top 15, top 16 team in the league. I've never thought he was a top five quarterback, even when he won a Super Bowl. A lot of mid quarterbacks have won Super Bowls, so just because he won a Super Bowl, that doesn't elevate him. Um, so he had a phenomenal defense. He was young. There was a lot of things. I think they got a little lucky in those playoffs as well. And that was the best Aaron ever played. That was his best year. I mean, that playoff run for him was ridiculous. That was, he did the whole championship belt thing back then. Never did it since. That was the whole State Farm thing or whatever. But um, to me, he's been mid his whole career. However, with the kind of talent the Steelers have, he probably has a more talented team other than that Super Bowl team. When you look at offense and defense, probably has his most talented team. He is older, he doesn't have the arm, but he still has arm talent, meaning he still can pinpoint those passes. And he's got a guy like Mike Tomlin, who's one of the best coaches out there. So give me over 8.5 for the Steelers for sure. Give me you can get over 9.5 at plus 165 for the Steelers. I like that. I would take that. In fact, I think that's a really good one that I actually would take is over 9.5 plus 165 for the Steelers this year. They've gotten better, you know, as long as Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. Now he had a bad year with the Jets last year, but you also have to remember a couple things. One, the Jets are complete trash, complete garbage. They weren't good. Everybody said, "Oh, he's going to this great, roster with the Jet." No, they didn't have a great roster. They had a great defensive line, but they didn't have a great defense. Everybody said they had a great defense. They didn't. They just had a couple of really stellar guys on the defensive line. Um, and the rest of their team was complete trash. And you see that now, right? Whereas everybody, they didn't lose anybody, so why isn't anybody talking about the Jets defense now? They were talking about it 2 years ago. Why aren't they talking about it now? Nothing's really changed because it's been trash. That's why they just wanted to hype up Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. That's all it was to it. But Aaron Rodgers actually has a pretty good team. He also tore his ACL that first year against the Bills in game one, right? So the second year back from an ACL, you're not going to play as good. Yes, he's older, but he's gotten to that 2 years on the ACL where you really start feeling confident on that thing again. And so he's going to play better. He's going to have a better year than he had with the Jets. Not just because he has a better team, but because his ACL is healed more. Okay. So yeah, that's the Steelers right there. I think they'll have a pretty decent season with Aaron Rodgers. However, we just don't know what's gonna happen with injuries and stuff. But give me them plus 165 over 9.5. I like that for the Steelers this year. I really do. All right, so let's go back up here to the Bills. Go back to alphabetical order here. Uh so the Bills, they have 12.5, looks like their number. Over 12.5 is plus 115. Under is minus 135. Um, they clearly didn't play very good against the Bears in the preseason, but I wouldn't hold that against them. You remember those Peyton Manning years? The Colts, they were known for going 0-4 like 8 years in a row in the preseason. That's what they did. They constantly went 0-4 in the preseason. So I don't take much from the Bills preseason. They're a Super Bowl contender. They're not gonna show one little thing that they don't have to show. Um, I was a little concerned with some of the guys' effort and their positioning on the field and some stuff like that for some of the backups. Some of the guys I know will play a role this year, like Andreessen, as they call him, Buffalo Joe. He's from Buffalo, but he didn't have he was horrible in that game. That was a little concerning to me. But overall, I don't take much out of that game. And it's good to have a game like that because now McDermott can really get on the team and get them ready for the season. As far as their win total, um, you know, uh, it's the Bills. They won 15 games, I believe, last year. I would go over 12.5 wins for the Bills. I think we get to 13. Um, More than likely, we're gonna go 5 or 6-0 this year. We have, our first game's against the Ravens. We could lose that. If we lose that, we're still gonna go 5-1. Our next 5 games after that are just the bottom of the barrel for the league. And so starting out, I mean, pretty much we're starting out 5-1, 6-0, something like that. So I mean, we're halfway to 13 wins right there. So yeah, I mean, I like the Bills over. Give me the over plus 115. But it's right there on the edge. We'll see what happens next. The Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the league in my opinion. Vegas has them way overrated this year. Well, they have them over under 6.5 wins. Over is minus 130. Under is plus 105. Give me the under all day. Under 3.5 wins is plus 550. Give me 3 wins. That's probably pretty good to be honest. Um, so yeah, take the under 6.5 for the Panthers. Take it all day long. Maybe even go down to 5.5 or more if you want. I mean, they're terrible. Um, yeah. The Bears, the Buffalo Bills beating Bears. 38 to nothing. What a jeez. Um, So the Bears, their over under is looking like okay, they have a couple options here. It looks like it's 7.5. So it's gonna be minus 135 for over 7.5 and plus 110 for under. Over 8.5 is plus 125 and under 8.5 is minus 150. I think the Bears have a good year. I would even go all the way up to over 9.5 wins, plus 210. I like that. Give them 10 wins on the season. Um, at plus 210, that's good. You could do over 8.5 wins at plus 8.5. If you want to feel more comfortable, give them 9 wins. I really like that. Plus 125 over 8.5 wins for the Bears. I like that a lot. All right. Next, the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. So over under 9.5. Either way, it's minus 110. This is another one that they have right there. Actually, that's pretty good. I that's a dang good line for Vegas. I feel like because I feel like they get 9 or 10 wins. I feel like the Bengals get 9 or 10. I mean, I think they're pretty overrated. They really haven't done a good job building depth. You've got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and those guys, and you've had a few years now, and you haven't, and you've had disappointing years where you've had higher draft picks, and you haven't built depth. You haven't gone to free agency to build depth. You haven't built, and now you probably have to trade one of your best defensive guys. I'm sold on Joe Burrow, but I'm not sold on the Bengals. I'm not sold on their team. Um, Jamar Chase's rookie year, he was the best receiver in the NFL at that time. 100% the best receiver. Um, but he also then he broke his ankle or whatever, ACL, whatever it was, and he's never been the same. He got back to it a little bit more last year, but um, he's still potentially a top 10 receiver, but he's not you're not looking at him as the best or top 3 receiver, I don't feel like anymore. And yeah, so I mean, if anything, I mean, I'd take him probably under the 9.5 at 9 wins. I think they get to 9 wins. Um, but for minus 110, why even risk it? Why even take that bet? There's no value in taking the Bengals on a over under. Um, unless you're a fanboy or something. I don't know. All right, Cleveland Browns. So for the Cleveland Browns, we have, let's see, where they have them at. Looks like they have them at 5.5 wins. Over 5.5 plus 130. Under 5.5 minus 155. Um, so you've got Joe Flacco, or you have potentially Dylan Gabriel, which I like a lot, or you have Shador Sanders, who looked good in the preseason. Um, if any of those guys end up having a fantastic year, then I mean, he's easily going to go over. Again, I think the Browns have the best roster, minus the quarterback, the best roster in the AFC North. And if they have good quarterback play, if one of these guys comes out and has good quarterback play, I see them taking even second in the division. I see them even winning 10 or 11 games. I really do. They just need that quarterback play. They have one of the best coaches in the league as well. Um, you know, you can get over 8.5 wins for them to get to 9 wins plus 700. Over 7.5 is plus 410. I mean, I think this is where you want to go for a future bet. If you're gonna do a future bet this year, I think you want to go to the Cleveland Browns, and you could even take a bunch of these, right? You could take over 7.5, over 8.5, over 9.5 plus 1,000. If any of those hit, you're guaranteed at least 110 or 400, or you're guaranteed $700, something like that. Um, that's where I think you go. You take over 7.5, over 8.5, over 9.5, and you either win $110. If you bet 100 on each, you either win 110, or you win 400, or you win 700. And I mean, I think um, I think they definitely get to 8 wins. I don't really see them not getting the 8 wins. So I think I mean, that's money right there, you know? And so that's where I think you want to go so far. If you're going to take one of these futures, I think you want to go to the Browns, or you could even do the minus 5.5 or whatever. I mean, yeah, or the over 5.5 was plus 125 or something like that, I think. So there's good money there. Over 5.5 is plus 130. They're definitely going to get 6 games. There's no doubt. The roster itself is going to get them 6 games. So that's, if you're looking at a future right now, Cleveland Browns, so far, that's where it's at. All right, Dallas Cowboys. We've got over under 7.5 wins. Over is minus 125. Under is 105. Take the under. Take the under. Cowboys are not going to be good this year. They're going to be that team that uh just underachieves by a lot. They're Yeah, I mean, it's not just the Jerry Jones effect and all that. They've let their roster go over the last couple years. There's nothing enticing about them. They don't have a running game. Dak can't do it all. Their defense has slipped over the last couple years. The guys that are still there are what, a couple more years older now. Um, yeah, I don't like the Cowboys. I do not like the Cowboys this year. Typically I say the Cowboys is one of those teams that could go either way. We don't know. They could win a Super Bowl, or they could be a bottom feeder. We have no idea. This year, I think we do kind of have an idea. They're a lot closer to being a bottom feeder than they are being a playoff team. Um and so yeah, under 7.5 wins at plus 105, it's not very good money. So might not be really worth the risk. If you were gonna do it, you'd probably want to go to under 6.5, which is plus 175. But Cowboys again, probably a team you want to stay away from for the most part. But yeah, if anything, I'm going under on games for the Cowboys. All right, Denver. This is a team I already know it's going to be overhyped. All right. Over. Yep. Okay. Over 9.5 wins is even money plus 100. Under is minus 120. That makes a little more sense. Um, Give me the under 8.5 at plus 145. Give me 8 wins for the Broncos this year. Um, it's another one that's kind of on the edge, so I don't know that you definitely want to put money there, but um, I'll just say that they are an overhyped team. So it might almost be better to see if they have an easy schedule at the beginning and you think they might go like 3-0, and then you think it might pop up to like the over under might be like 11.5 or something. You can get under 10.5 for really good money. Um, then maybe you do that, something like that. You kind of play that one by ear a little bit because, you know, they overall their team is definitely overhyped. Um Detroit Lions, I like Detroit. Nobody's talking about them this year. Uh Over 10.5 wins is plus 110. Under is minus 130. I might even go to over 11.5 at plus 190. That's if you're gonna take the Lions, that's probably where you go. Over 11.5 wins at plus 190. And yeah, I think the Lions will be. I think they're gonna have a great year this year. Packers. All right. Over under 9.5 wins. Over is plus 100. Under is minus 120. So same as the Broncos, except for I feel like the Packers have a better overall team than the Broncos. So you're getting the same money that the Broncos get, but you're getting a better team. Um, you know, maybe over 10.5 wins plus 170 is where to go for the Packers. But having said that, it's another one you might want to kind of play by ear. See if they lose a couple games, win a couple games, and then maybe take their over unders. All right, Texans here. Texans over 9.5 wins plus 105, under minus 125. Again, this is kind of the same as the last couple. I think maybe you kind of play this one by ear. But if anything, I like over 9.5 a little bit. So if you like the Texans, maybe again go to over 10.5 at plus 175. Um, yeah, that's just another one. The quarterback has to stay healthy, but that could be another one you play by ear a little bit there. All right, let's go to the Colts. Colts over under 7.5 wins at minus 110. Give me the under, but give me the under at like under 6.5 at plus 155. The Colts are a terrible team. They have Richardson this year, right? Is their quarterback, and I think they have somebody else over there fighting for quarterback, not just Richardson. Let me look it up here real quick. Trying to remember the name, but you know, names slip your memory from time to time. But yeah, I believe they have another quarterback, right? Yeah, Daniel Jones. In fact, they put Daniel Jones and Richardson both as number one quarterback going into the season. Obviously, that's going to change, but that's where it shows on the depth chart right now. Um, Anthony Richardson, I would probably take over Daniel Jones, but either way, this team doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. They've got a beast in Jonathan Taylor at running back, and beyond that, they don't. I mean, they have a decent team, but I don't see them winning a lot of games this year. I just don't, especially with inconsistent quarterback play. Okay, this is the year for the Jags. We get to find out. Finally, we get to find out, is Trevor Lawrence a franchise quarterback? I mean, if he doesn't do it this year, then he's not. Then he's not. Um, you know, Travis Hunter is on the team now, and they have a million things you can do with that guy. He's got a body like a Deion Sanders or a Bo Jackson. He's a once in a century type athletic body person and a guy that can go two ways. Probably not going to get tired. So you have every weapon you need out there. They have a good enough defense. Um, so if you can't get it done this year, you've got to move on and find a new quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is just not the guy. Any longer than that, then you're just holding on to dead weight. But we'll see. I got faith in this Jaguars team this year. Um, so give me over 8.5 wins at plus 150. The over under is 7.5 here, minus 115 for over, minus 105 for under. But let me bump it up one more, go over 8.5 wins at plus 150 with this Jaguars roster. You've got a good running team. You've got Travis Hunter. Um, there's no reason why you can't uh, win games in this division either. So give me over 8.5 there for plus 150 for the Jags. Kansas City Chiefs, they're probably undervalued this year, to be honest. Let's see, over 11.5 wins is plus 115. Under is minus 135. Give me the over. Nobody's talking about the Chiefs right now. Um, you know, give me even over 12.5 wins for the Chiefs at plus 200. I like that too. The Chiefs, I don't know if they will be able to sustain come playoff time, but they are going to be a regular season beast this year. Um, However, they are in maybe the toughest division. Probably, if everyone lives up to their potential, let's put it that way, it's definitely the toughest division in the play in the NFL. Speaking of which, the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, Las Vegas Raiders. I think they have them at 6. I think 6.5. Yeah, over under 6.5. Over is minus 125. Under is 105. Give me, I'm with my boy Joe here. I'm with Manny. I'm with you guys on this one. I like Geno Smith. You got Pete Carroll, you got a different culture now. You got Bowers. I'm sure Joe's let me just check here because I'm sure Joe has a comment here somewhere. Um no, he doesn't. But he did say hi earlier. Shout out to Joe who will be on the show this year. But yeah, I'm totally with this Raiders team. You know, Gentry's gonna be a complete beast. They're gonna have a play action pass this year. Uh Give me over 8.5 wins at plus 240. If you're really feeling froggy, take over 9.5 wins at plus 420 there for the Raiders. But you want to play a little conservative, but make sure you win some money here. You got over 7.5 wins at plus 140 or over 8.5 at plus 240. But I like the Raiders over totals this year. So yeah, definitely like it. They are in potentially the toughest division in the NFL this season. If all the teams play up to their potential, which doesn't normally happen in the AFC West, but if they can all get it together and play to what their potential really is, it will definitely be the toughest division in the NFL. Speaking of which, the next one is the Los Angeles Chargers. Uh, Over under here looks like they have 9.5 wins here for the Chargers. Over is plus 115. Under is minus 135. Uh, give me over 9.5 at plus 115. I don't want to bump it any further than that. I think they're probably a 10-win team. Probably another one. Maybe you want to play this one by ear, see how the first few games go, and then possibly, kind of look at betting the over under at that point. Um, the Rams, I don't have any confidence in the Rams. We don't even know if Matt Stafford's gonna what's going on with him, if he's even okay to play this year. We really just don't even know what's going on there with Matt Stafford. I don't have a lot of confidence in this Rams team. They still have a good coach. They still have good players, but it's just, there's something janky about this Rams team this year, and I'm just not here for it. The over under is 9.5 wins. Under 9.5 wins is plus 105. Give me that. Give me under 9.5 wins for the Rams at plus 105. That's a pretty darn safe bet. If you're feeling a little riskier, you could do under 8.5 wins at plus 170. But, you know, I mean, even that I feel pretty confident in. Another one you could play by ear, but under 9.5 at plus 105, I mean, that's decent odds. Vegas, and see, Vegas knows. Vegas knows that the Rams probably aren't. Even with that line, it kind of tells me Vegas thinks under 8.5 is what that line kind of tells me. So maybe take the under 8.5 at plus 170 there. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins over under 7.5 wins minus 110. Give me the over on the Miami Dolphins. Give me over 8.5 at plus 160. Done deal. Take it to the bank right there. Miami Dolphins over 8.5 wins plus 160. Give it to me. Just give it to me. Give me that. Give me that money right now. Just hand me the money right now. Totally undervalued this year. They still have a good team. The only issue is if Tua Trash gets hurt, then that's gonna be a problem there. But anything other than that, that the Dolphins, they're regular season warriors, man. That's what they do. Tyreek Hill, I think he's gonna have a good year. Nobody's talking about him. Everyone's dumping on him this year. Uh, which is what I like. I think that's what McDaniels likes. Give me Dolphins over 8.5. Done deal. Plus 160. Thank you, Vegas. I'll take it all day long. Thank you very much. Minnesota Vikings. National champion winning JJ McCarthy, who I'm not totally sold on, but I am a huge Michigan fan, so over under 8.5 wins. No, it's it's kind of the same. They kind of have over under 8.5 and over under 9.5 is about the same. So for over 8.5, they have minus 140. Under 8.5, they have plus 120. Over 9.5 wins, they have plus 120. Under 9.5 wins, they have minus 140. So they kind of have a 2-game kind of spread there. Give me under 8.5 plus 120 for the Vikings. I don't know. They're not the team they were. They should have stuck with Sam Darnold. I don't know what we're gonna get out of McCarthy. They should have let him play behind Darnold for a couple years, kind of like Rodgers did with Brett Favre. Clearly McCarthy got hurt his first year. He doesn't have that typical NFL body. He could have used another year of rest. Sam Darnold was playing out of his mind. I would have stuck with Darnold at least one more year. And I don't know if McCarthy's ready physically, mentally, any of that. So again, love the guy. Brought Michigan a national championship, but not totally sold on him in the NFL right now. I even like this under 7.5 wins plus 190. I think the Vikings, I think they have a crap year. They have probably the best receiver in the NFL, but that's all they have going for them. So yeah, we'll see what happens. New England Patriots, a team that is overblown this year for sure. Vegas thinks the Patriots will have a better year than the Dolphins. I completely disagree. Over under 8.5 wins for the Patriots. Over is plus 115. Under is minus 135. Give me under 7.5 wins at plus 125 for the Patriots. I don't really want to go beyond that. I mean, that's basically it. Saints here. The Saints. The Saints without a quarterback, really. We have over under 4.5 wins. Under is plus 110. Over is minus 130. Give me over 5.5 wins, plus 140. One of the best rosters out there. They just don't have a quarterback, but their roster is going to get them to 5 wins easily, or 6 wins easily. Give me over 5.5 wins for the Saints at plus 140. Done deal. Thank you, Vegas. Bam, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. I'll take the plus 140. Let's move on from the Saints. New York Giants. Woo, Jackson Dart. Jackson throwing darts, huh? We got Jackson Dart. We got Russell Wilson. Man, what's gonna happen? How many games before Jackson Dart comes in, right? We expect Russell Wilson to start the year. We expect Jackson Dart to finish the year, right? I think everybody's on board with that one right there. We'll see what happens, but even if Russell Wilson does pretty good, I mean, even if he's 50-50 or 4-2 or something, they still might be calling for Jackson Dart. So over under 5.5 wins for the Giants. Over 5.5 is plus 100. Under is minus 120. Give me over 6.5 wins for the Giants, plus 175. Wham, bam. Thank you, Las Vegas. Over 6.5 wins for the Giants this year, plus 175. They won't be the worst team in the division. That will be the Cowboys. Let's go, Jackson. Throw them darts. The Jets. Meet the Jets. Meet the Mets. The Jets here, we've got over 5.5 wins, minus 135. Under, plus 115. Give me the under, plus 115. Move on. We don't need to talk about the Jets. They're stupid. They suck. There's nothing redeemable about the Jets. Nobody wants to hear about them. All right, Philadelphia Eagles. We've got over 11.5 wins, plus 110. Some would say that's pretty low. Under 11.5 wins, minus 130. Over 12.5 wins for the Eagles, plus 190. So they got to get to 13 wins. Yeah, I mean, you've got Cowboys, Giants, and Redskins in that division. That alone is probably 5-1. Maybe the Redskins pull one out on you. So, right there, you're halfway to 13 wins. Plus 190 for the Eagles to get 13 plus wins. I kind of like that. That's kind of probably where I would go. If you want to feel safe, though, over 11.5 wins at plus 110. That seems pretty safe there, too, right? So let's go. Okay, we did the Steelers earlier because my nephew came on. He wanted to hear about the Steelers. So we talked about them already. San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers. Over under 10.5 wins at minus 110. I feel like that's a little high for the Niners. Is that high? Do we think that's high? They got the quarterback back, right? You got some of the players, most of the players back. Is 11 wins Is that high? Are we getting to 12? Are we getting to 12 wins with the Niners plus 155 over 11.5? Are we getting there for the Niners? But then again, are we only at 9, 10 wins? Or let's see, over 9, under 9.5 plus 155. So are we at 9 wins or are we at 12 wins for the plus 155? That's interesting. That's really where Vegas is putting this team. They're putting them between 9 and 12 wins. What side of the spectrum are we liking them? Because the middle doesn't pay anything, right? Over under 10.5 wins is minus 110. So you really got to go. You're saying the Niners are going to get, if you want to get some money on the Niners here, you either got to say they're going to get 12 plus wins or they're going to get um, 9 or less wins. So where are we leaning here for the Niners? I kind of lean at the 9 wins for the Niners. 9 wins plus one. I don't know. Are the Niners that team, right? Do they still have Debo? Did they lose Debo? I think they lost Debo, right? Um, I mean, they're a completely different team without Debo Samuel. So, you know, personally, I probably wouldn't touch anything with the Niners, but if I would, I gotta take the under 9.5 at plus 155. That's the only place that has any money there. Um, so there you go. There's the Niners. Stay away, basically. All right, Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks here. Let me look this up real quick. Sorry about this, but let me just check something out here about the Seattle Seahawks. Um, 1 second on this one because I don't want to throw out misinformation or a bad pick or something like that for you guys. Want to give you guys the best I can. Give me 1 second here to refresh my memory. So here we go. We got Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, and Jalen Milroe as quarterbacks, all quarterbacks that I like. The problem is this team has gone a little bit downhill. Um Over under 7.5. Under 7.5 plus 135. Over minus 135. Over 8.5 is plus 125. Um and then over 9.5 is plus 210. Ah, man, give me over. I'd probably say give me over 9.5 plus 210. Kind of liking that for Seattle, but at least over 8.5 at plus 125. I think Seattle gets to 9 wins. I think they do. I think they probably get to 10 wins at plus 210. That's pretty good. Um, I don't know about the roster though. So just to be safe, if I would do this, I'd take over 8.5 wins for Seattle plus 125 right there. I think that's where you would want to go right there for Seattle. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. For the Buccaneers, over under 9.5 wins. Over is plus 100, under is minus 120. We still got my guy Baker Mayfield over there. You still got a solid roster, a solid team. It's probably something I want to stay away from. Uh, if anything, maybe the over 9.5 wins at plus 100. They're in a terrible division. So that's probably where you would want to go over 9.5 at even money. But I don't know that I'm, other than the fact that they are just in probably the worst division in the NFL. That's the only thing that probably makes it worth it. To me, if they were in a better division, I would say, they're probably not getting to 10 wins, but they probably have an automatic 6 wins just based on their division. So Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably where I would go with the Bucks. Over 9.5 at even money. Tennessee Titans. I like what I'm hearing from Cam Ward. I love what I'm hearing. I love the the culture shift he's gonna bring just by his own personality. However, having said that, right? Having said that, I've gotta say what I'm seeing on the field is not matching what I'm hearing out of his mouth. And he might be one of those guys that takes 2 or 3 years for him to get to his potential. So, um, this Titans team over under, looks like we are over 6.5 is plus 120, under is minus 140. Um, yeah, I'd say over 6.5. Plus 120 over 6.5 for the Titans. I like that. They still have a pretty good roster. I think Cam Ward will get better as the season goes on. And you know, you still have the Colts and who else is in that division? It's not very good, but you still have two other teams not that great in that division. And yeah, so I like that over 6.5 plus 120. Now the Washington Commanders over under 9.5 wins is minus 110. So here's another one. Are they under eight? Wow, that is weird. Vegas is saying over 8.5 wins is minus 180. And then over 9.5 is minus 110. That man, they got a weird lines on the Redskins. Um, but where you're gonna have to go in the Redskins is just like the Niners, under 8.5 wins plus 155, or over 10.5 at plus 155. They've got 4 wins based on their division, most likely, maybe three. Um, I don't think that there's any value anywhere in betting the Washington Commanders. So yeah, I mean, going back, I remember the ones I like the most. I like the Dolphins. If you go back to when I was talking about the Dolphins, um, of course, we love the Browns this year. We love that, and think there was one more that I really liked. You're gonna have to rewatch the tape to figure out which one it was. But uh, yeah, some interesting stuff this year. What do you guys think about these lines? Who do you think is? Do you think Vegas got something really wrong? Do you think I got something really wrong? Just leave a comment, talk some trash, whatever, whether it's me or talk some trash against Vegas or whatever. Who do you think's gonna be that team that's way better than everybody thinks? Who's gonna be way worse than everybody thinks? Uh, leave your messages below. And I love to hear it too, because then maybe I'll go take another look at that team, and maybe you're right. Maybe I'm overlooking something or underlooking something. Who knows? But thanks guys, man. Again, we're gonna start on Sundays um next week. I mean not next week, when NFL starts. We will start Sundays that week. Uh until then, we are going to probably stay on Mondays for the podcast. Again, we got to get Joe on here. We got to get Manny back. He's flying back from Hawaii tomorrow. And then, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great year. Gonna have some guests. Gonna have a great time. Anybody that wants to come on is welcome to come on. I'll just shoot you an email and boom, you'll be in and you can talk about your team, whatever it is. So, again, guys, thank you so much. Let's make some money. Let's have some fun doing it.